Hello, welcome to the hot seat. It is time for us to learn about some games. That's right, it is the fifth Monday of the month, so the Tabletop Call-In Show is bringing to you a bonus show, and that is going to be a pilot of our show idea here, the hot seat, which is where there's one designer. In this first, there's two episodes coming up, right? This is the first episode, and then immediately there will be a second episode. So there's one designer, which in this case is Jeremy Gage. He'll introduce himself in a second. There's one host, which is me, Adam Bell. There is one... What's the other thing? What was the third thing? One demo, 10 minutes flat. So the way the show is going to work is we're going to chat a little bit about the game that we're dealing with and, catching up. And secretly, I'm going to be making coffee. I don't think the crowd can hear you because I have problems. But let me fix that. Great. Why don't you say something, and while I'm still babbling, they'll let us know if they can hear you.
Sick. Hey, everyone. I hope you can hear me. It's me, the Juice Boy, Jeremy Gage, coming to you live from Ohio. If this is your first time, I'm Jeremy Gage. You can find me at JeremyGage5 over on Twitter, or you can listen to the Draw Your Dice podcast, which is a podcast that interviews indie designers like Adam, like many of the guests in the chat. Juice Boy or Juicy Boy, aka the Juicy Boy. Listen to Draw Your Dice podcast because it has to happen. You got to do it. It's how can I be an idiot about this? It is the best podcast out there.
That's a fact. Well, yeah, that's a fact. And then this is the second best. Everything else pales. I'm Adam Bell. You can find me on Twitter at Adam E. Bell or anywhere online at Adam E. Bell, including my games at adamebell.games and even my damn... What? I have a Kickstarter running? That's what I'm trying to talk about?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Legend has it. We hit the funding goal yesterday. We launched last Tuesday. Thank you to everybody here that has supported or shared or talked about it. That's really appreciated. Just look at this thing. It's so nice. I'm very proud of it, I gotta say. But that's not what today's about. Also, look. Here it is. It's in my hand. Wow. Jeremy, what's up? What are we gonna do today on this first episode of the Hot Seat?
So why there are two episodes happening is that typically the Tabletop Call-In Show is an hour long, but the Hot Seat episodes, if this is a proven experimental concept, will be a half hour. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Again, it's an experiment mode. So I'll have a half hour to talk about my game, get Adam to play through the game. Oh, we're starting. Good.
Well, so the first phase is 10 minutes of chatter.
Okay, cool.
The timer's counting down. And then we'll jump into the 10-minute demo.
Okay. See, experiment. I didn't know.
I didn't either until just now.
So the game that we are going to be demoing today is called, currently, project name Umbral Dive. It is my examination at the skirmish genre of tabletop role-playing games, such as your D&Ds, your Pathfinders, your Numeneras, your mother effing 13th Ages, all those things. And I'm trying to lift up that tech, put a little bit more of a modern spin, taking inspirations from not only other tabletop role-playing games, but also video games. I've seen every GDC about God of War, Horizon Dawn, and Nier Automata. Let me tell you. Oh, and also Doom. So a lot of the combat has big energy from God of War and Doom specifically. The world that it's set in, it doesn't have a name, but essentially the big tentpole thematic is this substance called dust, which makes memory and imagination possible. Dust are these magical nanobots that react to emotion, and it also records emotion. So basically any manifestation of elemental or foe or persons or dungeons that you do in the game are created by these nanobots. So you may experience a war from the past as a dungeon. You may do like a murder mystery and see remnants of events that are happening in the near past or the present. So that's kind of like the big totem pole thing. For anyone who's maybe familiar with Magic the Gathering planes, it's very like Zendikar energy meets like Meriden meets like Kaladesh sort of stuff. It's a science fantasy world. There are tech robots and things.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if I'm not familiar with Magic the Gathering planes?
Yeah, if
Science
not
fantasy,
those things, it's
tech
very
robots.
it's very post apocalypse science fantasy. So the idea, instead of like post-apocalypse, everything is barren and ruined and buildings are crumbling and there's like a lot of angry people like adapting to the apocalypse. It's so far in the future that Earth is sort of like this Earth has like reset itself.
Cycle begins anew.
Yeah, cycle begins anew. Humans have been cloned in some way, and they've also been mutated due to the dust, and new species are on the planet. They're robot dinosaurs because they're just cool.
Sometimes you gotta just add the robot dinosaurs and somebody can figure out why they're there.
Yeah. It's the well, that's the idea, is that like I wanted to make a setting that was constantly mysterious, just adding little pieces and bobs that like have juxtapositions to each other that didn't make sense. Like they make sense in the wrapper, but like if you start pulling on the thread, it's like, oh, why is this like this, or why are these areas inhabited in this way, or et cetera, et cetera. So I think it will add for a lot of emergent storytelling in the setting. And feel free to use the setting outside of the systems of Umbral Dive. Additionally, getting down to the engine, the nuts and bolts of the system. So I am taking on the giant task of designing individual systems for play. Williams. So what we will be doing today is specifically the combat mechanics for Umbral Dive. This and maybe also touch on the exploration style mechanics, like if you were like to go into a dungeon or do overworld travel, as a brief. But this won't include things like NPC mechanics, which will have their own separate engine, and this will also not include like faction or campaign play. I do have ideas for the GM to also have their own sort of like level up scheme for the world, or progression scheme for the world, so that they feel like they have a character that they can manipulate in a mechanical way. And yeah, 5 minutes left. Don't know what else to say.
Well, I mean, we could chat. Let's
chat. Cool.
What do you think? What do you think this demo is going to be like? Are we? It based on what I'm looking at, and the audience can see me browsing around the Roll20. It looks like we are going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Perhaps fighting this big boy.
Yeah. So taking a little tour, starting at that top left image up there. That's your character sheet. Your little mock-up character sheet at the top above Ifrit. I'm 5 seconds delayed, so if you've already scrolled there, you're gonna have to let me know.
Yeah, I'm in the top. I am in the top corner.
Cool. So that's your little character sheet. This game is utilizing a concept of the job system inspiration from Final Fantasy. Essentially, every character will have combat skills that are their 5 roles, which are, you can see on the screen there: Skirmisher, Sentinel, Ravager, Saboteur, and Synergist.
Okay.
At the top of every round, you have to declare what job you're doing, and you get certain bonuses to those dice. So, for instance, when we start a round, you declare, "Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do some Sentinel stuff this round."
Yeah.
So you'll get like advantage on your Sentinel die or something to that effect. If I remember to do that, we'll do that. It may not mean anything. But it's okay if we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that forms your combat dice pool. To the right of that is the nanobot types in the world. They'll have different names, but they're the colors of magic for right now. Mm-hmm. And
red, blue, green, gold, violet.
Yes, that is correct. You will use those both as a resource which is their mastery rank. That's the single number there. The next number is the next dice is their control, which you have to roll to see how much you spend of the arena's ambient nanobot supply. No one can like internally cast magic. Everyone has to pull magic from the air, and so when they do so, they have to roll the control dice to see how much of that resource they spend. Sort of like a reverse resistance roll from Forged in the Dark. And then the second dice is for more role-playing micro-level stuff. So the higher your control of magic, the more nanobots kind of like attach to you and like can manipulate like how you're feeling. So it works inversely that the more control you have in combat, the more susceptible you are to the particular emotions that dust can cause. Ooh. So for instance, red dust can have like a very passionate, emotional style effect on you. And so if like you're in a role play moment and your drive is to engage with like your passion, you'll roll that dice and it'll have certain benefits to the micro level play. At the bottom left of that subsect of stuff, that is the I just might as well look at my own fucking thing. Duh. This is going on.
The tactics?
Trying to look at the screen.
Or are we talking about like the alloy
the other
isles,
stuff?
archaeomancy?
Yeah, so those are for the two bottom ones are also a part of your skill checks for exploration and stuff. You basically form like an Aegon style dice pool where you'll pull from your drives, which are the colors. You'll pull one from the region that you're in, and then you'll pull one from the specific challenge being offered to you in the dungeon. So if you were in the Cinder Crags and you're exploring a memory dungeon in there, and I'm offering to you a trial of either numerology or essence study, then you will use one of those two dice to engage in that roll, and then you get to pick what emotion or what like magic or emotion that you're engaging with for that. And then below that is tactics, just some really quick made-up actions I did for this playtest. Below those tactics, you'll see posture, which is your HP. There's no balance. That number will never change, but I'll probably talk about it in combat in some way.
Okay.
And then the bottom right is also something we may not manipulate, but also to talk about the party mechanics. I took the position from... I have to be able to see the timer. I took the position from Forged in the Dark. Yeah, I took the positions from Forged in the Dark and put them in the party like as a group thing, so that your entire party is affected by your like party's position. So your party can be in a controlled position, they can be in a risky position or a desperate position, and as that goes down or up, it affects all of your team's dice in that way.
Very cool.
So turning it from a single thing to a party thing, and then I'll explain all the like faux and board stuff in the combat. 10 seconds left.
Yeah, we're about ready.
Yeah,
nice work. Cool. I'm gonna pour my coffee, which has just finished brewing.
Yeah, you do that. You get yourself ready now.
You can gather yourself.
I'm gathering.
Yes. So we're heading into the actual hot seat phase, which is we're gonna play this game, right? We're going to play some version of this game. Whoa, almost overfilled the cup. That's fine. And what that's going to look like is, I don't know. That's up to you. But it's going to be another 10 minutes, which feels like it's just such an ambitious game to try to demo in 10 minutes, and I'm excited to see.
We're doing it!
I'm excited to see how you pull it off. Because it's going to be great.
My phases.
So, yeah, the chat is asking for some Anxiety Sonic music. You know, this is the pilot. We can... We'll figure that kind of stuff out because that is a great idea.
Don't let the hot seat person hear it because they'll die. That's gotta be an audience only situation.
Yeah. Are you ready? Where should I be on the screen to start? Or just is zoomed out? Because I know zoomed out, they could probably only they hear it. That hear us.
Yeah. You're going to need to see kind of everything at some point, so it might be some zooming around.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I'll do my
There's a lot of
best.
player-facing information here.
Cool.
Do you have dice before we start?
I don't. Should I get some dice?
You can either use the dice roll and roll 20, and I'll provide a text box thing for you to manipulate.
If I use the dice rolling and roll 20, that's going to be your whole 10 minutes. So I'm going to grab dice real quick.
All right.
Got him.
Cool. You're going to need to change these numbers.
Oh, I bet that's horrible to hear.
I love it. 32.
All right.
Oh, too big. Hold on, I need to give you one more set of things.
10-minute timer.
Don't start me, dude. Hello? Can I move this? This is good. 26. Can I move this one? I
No,
can't
not
move
20.
any of these. This is driving me bonkers, dude. You will need to be able to show the numbers on the screen is what's important here, and I can't get these text boxes to move.
Where are they?
They're on the tactics boards, the action sequence boards, because tactics board didn't get exported. I realize now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're good.
I don't see... I see X's. Are you talking about these X's? No. Probably
Yeah,
not.
because you need to be able to put your dice results into the X's.
Oh, okay. Here,
Doing it live.
Yeah, let me do something. What are the possible numbers?
It's your dice pool. So the highest number you could get with your current dice pool is 8 from your rolls.
Let me just whip you up something. Hey, normally on the hot seat we wouldn't do this kind of shenanigans, but also we probably would have done it ahead of time, and I woke up.
That's correct.
10:35. So this isn't Jeremy's fault.
Thanks for bearing with us, everyone.
Yeah.
Cool. I finally have an X that I can manipulate, that I need to manipulate. Cool. Boom. Boom. We're gonna do this. Then we're gonna copy it. Now we're gonna paste it. And I'm gonna move it. We're gonna paste it.
Am I gonna be able to move these around?
Yes, I will give you the... You should be able to move them around.
Let's find out.
You should be able to select them.
So I was just... okay, right. Firefox is dead.
No, the good old
I can't.
Chrome.
You better believe I can't.
Very good. Well, we'll fit. I'm gonna trust you in this moment. So you're just gonna have to operate left to right, and the people won't be able to see the numbers.
Okay, that seems fine. That seems like the way to do it.
Cool.
Let's just hope. Yeah, let's not sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're ready.
Sure.
I'm gonna hit the start the timer, which is a 10-minute and 15-second timer, which means I'm gonna count you in from 5, so you have the full 10 minutes. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So brush it out, think about it, and I'm fully focused. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go! It's the hot seat time. Ding ding ding.
Hot seat time. All right. So, your token is going to be the knight that you should have the ability to manipulate.
Sure don't.
Something I didn't check before we sit. Controlled by all players. Boom, save. Cool.
Got it.
You can manipulate now? Very good. So, how combat works is that it's interlevied phase turn order. So let's parse out what that means by playing it. The first phase is upkeep. Here we would check if you have any status conditions or effects that we need to manipulate or cool down, such as burn, poison, stun, stuff like that. Next phase is going to be Faux Declaration phase. So if you look to the far left side, you can see that there is a monster sheet. Normally, the players, this is going to be sort of like a foldable tall tent. The players will see the right-hand side on the table, and the GM will see the left-hand side at the back when the tent is put up there. Basically, you know what all of the potential names of options are, so it allows you some ability to remember, like, oh, Flame Jet does this, Volcanic Burst does this, and what letter it links up to. Left-hand side tells me what the actions do, the patterns, and the trial actions. In this case, I'm just going to start with pattern A. So because you don't see that left side, you won't know what like Flame Jet does. But I will go to my board, and because I didn't put a background on these, it's going to look weird. But I'm going to copy, paste, paste, paste. So basically what would happen is I will show you, copy, paste. I'll show you this, right? You'll see on the enemy board that the GM presents to you the pattern of attack they're going to do for the round.
Uh-huh.
So you have this information in front of you.
Right,
Next,
so attack, flame jet, attack, flame jet is what we're looking at.
Yes, correct. I will then roll some dice in front of me. And this lets you know like the potential numbers that are going to be used for allocation, but the foe will not allocate until after the next phase. So the numbers I rolled on 3d10 are 2, 2, and 4. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty light turn potentially, but you don't know what the abilities do, or you're not supposed to know what the abilities do. So you know what the foe is going to do. You know what their potential amount of threat is going to be.
Not high.
The next phase that we go into is the player planning phase. So you will assign actions to your board in response to what the foe has shown you.
Great. So that's all this stuff up here.
Yep, all the tokens. There's like some cooldown stuff or whatever, but I haven't parsed it out, so I'm not going to make you do it.
Great. I'm going to do light weapon skill. I love the PNGs. Heavy weapon skill. Response token. And then I feel like this attack's going to be a doozy, so I'll evade it. And then I'll do a heavy, and I'll finish with a light.
Sure. Great. There are two things here. You can take off the response token. I should explain how you work your turn. Lol. Or what the tokens are. So, light weapon skills are attacks that typically do damage. And they're you can see like what actions they're attached to on your character sheet. They like do wound damage and stuff like that, but they can't get past monsters' defenses really easily. They usually have a lower impact, which is my translation of effect from Forge in the Dark. So instead of limited, standard, and great, you have low, standard, and high impact attacks. So you have individual effect. Heavy weapon skills don't do any wound damage, but they do higher stun damage, which would open up lighter attacks for other players. An additional thing is that heavy weapon skills have a specific action sequence requirement, and that you can't put heavy weapon skills back to back. So you couldn't do 1 and 2 heavy weapon skill. You'd have to do 1 something else on 2 heavy weapon skill 3. And then response tokens are special tokens that you can use to change up your order mid-round, because after you set this, you can't change these tokens except for response tokens. They go on a very large cooldown, but you can use them to use like very quick defensive buffs or offensive abilities in response to something you didn't know the boss could do.
Cool.
And then evasion tokens give you double movement in that second. So every second you can move 1 inch on the arena board, so up to 6 inches over the course of a total round. And the evasion token allows you to do 2 inches in that turn. So that's what the tokens do. So if that changes your game plan at all.
Yeah, I've slammed in a second evasion.
Okay.
Instead of that response token, because maybe I want to get away from whatever flame jet is.
Sure. Next, you will take all 5 of your roll. What role do you want to do this turn? Typically, you're a tanky character.
Whatever the tankiest tanky is.
Sentinel would be the role you would declare. But you will take all 5 of those dice in the roll and roll them. So your dice pool will be 5 dice.
walk me through which dice is that. Is that 3d8 plus?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus
A D8. No, that's A
oh,
D8. I'm
AD8
sorry.
and what else?
You'll be rolling a total pool of 2d4, 2d6, and 1d8.
2d4, 2d6, 1d8. Got it. Okay, should I roll them?
Yes. These are your opportunity dice.
Cool. I got 4, 4, 4, 3, 1.
Cool. So, how you allocate them to the opportunity dice section of the tactics board is that the first two blocks are Skirmish and Ravager. Jesus, I'm already at 4 minutes. Skirmisher and Ravager, you can only place up to the highest amount that roll allows you. So for Skirmisher and Ravager, you have a d6 as the dice they provide.
Okay.
So the highest number that can go in there is a 6. Whereas for
Totally.
Synergist and Saboteur, the highest number that can go in there is a 4. But you can use any of the dice you rolled to go in those slots.
Okay, so I could do. So is it the highest total number or just the highest number? So is it? Can I do 4 plus 3 times 4 times
Yes.
4?
Yeah. They have individual
Great.
boxes.
Individual. Great.
So, yeah.
Okay, I've done that.
Cool. So that's set. After the player planning phase, we then go into the boss would assign their dice to the thing. So the boss is going to assign 2s to the attacks and 4 to the action A, Flame Jet. And then we would go. So we go second by second. Players go first. You can move up to 1 inch, and then you will deal your light weapon skill.
Okay. 1 inch, so I can go to there and deal with roll 20. So I can go here, right?
Yep.
And now how do I do a light weapon skill?
So your light weapon skill requires you to be it's attached to your light attack in your tactics quarter sheet thingy. It says low impact, which means you start at a lower impact. If you had abilities, you could increase that impact, or your party's momentum may increase your impact as well. Mm-hmm. You would inflict wound damage, but since the enemy still has defenses, you'd have to bypass that, so it'd maybe deal less. And then engaged range means that you have to be touching the enemy's token. So we can just make an assumption that you're touching. You can go ahead and move your
let's
token
slide in.
that.
Let's say I started a little closer.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how that would work. And then the boss would go. So since you put a 4 in the sentinel slot, and the boss put 2s in attack, but does they have a standard impact on these attacks, so it might like multiply the dice or increase its damage or something like that. But you would block 4 physical damage, or something to that effect. So that would be second 1. The boss, all enemies have unique movement. They get to where they need to get to. They don't like move like players do. Okay. If they are afflicted by the slow condition, they have a movement then. Then we go second 2. You would use your heavy weapon skill, standard impact, inflict stun damage, engaged range. It would deal like a high amount of stun damage, which would be 7 like times something, etc., etc. We would go to the enemy boss, second 2. They do their attack, 2 standard damage. They do some amount of damage to you blocked by your sentinel. Second 3, you have evasion, so you can move up to 2 inches if you want.
I can?
Yes, you can move 2 inches because you used evasion in second 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You have this little ally behind you.
I'm swinging around behind.
Cool.
Schlonk.
Because of this, the properties of this attack, the boss actually targets the most hated foe with this.
Oh, no.
Flame Jet, and does a cone attack. So we would take any of these, does a small cone. Flame right here.
Okay,
Boom.
so that theoretically was a good move because I'm getting yeeted, but I've removed my ally from the cone.
Exactly. So that happens. Then you would have the opportunity after this turn to change your opportunity dice placement. You don't re-roll these dice unless you have an ability that says otherwise. But if you wanted to move these around, you could.
Cool.
Then second 4 would happen. You get to move some more.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see how this sort of pans out.
Yeah, and then I'd be attacking again, and it would attack,
Yep.
and then I would hopefully in seconds 5 and 6 like slowly move away because it's gonna do that cone thing. Now that I know that Flame Jet is a cone.
Exactly. Exactly. Now that you know
See?
that Flame Jet is a cone, that's like that's the thing, dude. So sorry, I'm glad that you said it. But that's essentially a round of combat.
Cool.
Again, you can imagine this with like three other players at the table, all having
Hmm.
different roles. They would have abilities that would allow them to either manipulate the types of damage, manipulate your dice, increase dice of certain types. Like you might have
Yeah.
a friend that says, my character can manipulate your skirmisher dice by up one step or by up one number or something. You might have someone that says, re-roll your sentinel dice. Enemies could also have something similar in where like decrease all your dice by one number or re-roll your sentinel dice, like it's a piercing effect or something, which could be good or bad. And then we would execute these patterns. Bosses have wound thresholds, so like when you deplete a certain amount of HP, this is taking from Sekiro. They would engage in a trial action, which is simply just a solve puzzle. You can't attack the boss, you don't deal with its body, and you just have to solve mechanics. So the first one it would have done would be Cyclone Dash. It would dash across the arena. You'd have to find all the safe spots on the arena to avoid, and then the boss would come back and you could start fighting it again.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I think we are in the cooldown phase here, where we just
Yeah.
talk about what we saw. Which yeah, I like. I like using that time to like finish that explanation and just be like, this is what would have happened if we kept playing. Because
Yeah.
ideally you want to keep playing, which I do. Because I like what's going on here. I think you're doing a really good job at making this kind of combat, which like usually I'm not the biggest into. So like I'm a good, I think, tester for you because I'm not
Uh-huh.
that into tactical tabletop. I guess I am, but I'm not. I don't like D. I don't like. I don't like D&D combat or anything like it. And this feels like it's trying to do what that does, but keeping in mind that it needs to be like snappy and quick and fun
Mhm.
and like engaging. And I think between this and what you've done before, I think it does a good job. You're doing a good job of like. I feel like a lot of times D&D can slow down because like you feel like you should describe every action because it's a role playing game, but
Mhm.
here it's like no, there's just a flame jet. It's a big jet of flame. Like you can imagine what it means internally. We don't need to
Yeah.
describe your flesh melting off or whatever. By the end of this combat, we're gonna pack so much action into this combat that like we all will get the story from it instead
Yes.
of
Yeah.
just like, well, I swing my sword and I whatever it is when you play D&D. And then you roll a d20 and it's like, well, I guess I missed. Yeah, yeah,
Great.
that's
Yeah, and just as like if there are multiple players happening, you would do all of your second one things at the
mhm.
same time. You don't have like a order. You can discuss your own order of operations if like someone's using a buff here or a debuff or something like that. But that's totally up to the players every second. But everything like all damage calculations happen at the same time and then are totaled.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You're on a good direction. You've made some real progress on this content wise. Like it shows.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't even
Busy.
get into like exploring a dungeon.
No, I'd like to
I mean,
one
I guess
day.
do we have 10 minutes to talk about it?
Yeah, I didn't really set the timer. We have some minutes to talk about it.
Yeah, 7 minutes to talk about it. Uh,
Okay,
maybe less.
let's say 5. Let's say we've been talking
Sure.
about it for 5.
Yeah. So if anyone has played Aegon or hasn't played Aegon, basically second edition by John Harper, the shtick of the game is that you assemble a dice pool from your name, your epithet, and the domain that you're rolling on for the contest.
Mhm.
So I took that and thought, okay, that's like sort of a competitive version of that. Let's see if we can make a cooperative version of that. So the idea is that you'll have a certain amount of time to get to the boss in each memory because the memory only lasts for so long in real time. The nanobots will only play out that echo, if you will. And if you can get to the boss in time, you get some bonuses. It's like the engagement roll sort of stuff from Forge in the Dark. But sometimes you would be offered as you explore the dungeon, like, there's a door here that's being blocked by like a really intense AI or something. You would have to roll numerology for this one, and you have another path where the challenge is like essence studies. It's like a big craggy ravine or a river or something like that. So you have to figure out how to manage the ecosystem. And so you could have players split up and decrease the amount of time it will take you to explore the dungeon, because you have to get a certain map completion before you can find the boss. But you could either guarantee by having like up to 4 players roll on a single challenge, or you could split your 2-and-2 party and have them both roll on the different challenges, and they can start exploring other areas and engage in different challenges. So it's just this way of like making the D&D skill check feel a little bit more like party unified, and in a way that like you're not looking for like who has the highest perception, who has the highest insight. You should be the one rolling for this, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Like forcing a single player to do it,
Or
where
what I feel like happens a lot in D&D, which is like the DM calls for a specific player to do a perception, and everybody's like, I'm gonna roll it too.
yeah, yeah. It's just like one of those things where everyone has a little bit of numerology knowledge. Some maybe more than others. Some people have a little bit more essence studies or whatever. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you would explore a dungeon essentially. And that was just like the last little bit.
Love it.
Thanks for coming to Hot Seat. Thanks for playing my game. I hope the audience enjoyed what they saw today. There's so much more to come.
Yeah.
There's so much more to come.
There is.
Quick start coming at you soon.
And you want to know what's about to happen? Whoa. Ooh.
Oh,
If you're watching the stream, you can see what has happened now.
I have to request access to join the Miro board.
Oh, jeez. Oh, wait. Hang on. Let me just send you a different link. I know there's like you could do... Fuck. Share. Just ignore all the other stuff on this. This is where that game of Grasping Nettles that branched out into Follow this is where we play it. But since Miro only gives you three free boards, I don't want to like accidentally archive this, so I'm just using a corner. Yeah, update on that Grasping Nettles game where we played Follow. We played Firebrands in it the other day, so now there's Mechs on the Moon.
Mechs on the Moon!
You better believe it. Yeah. Where is the OBS? That was great, Jeremy. Thanks for...
Was it? I feel like it was fast.
It was what?
It was fast.
It was fast. That 10 minutes definitely takes by, especially when you've got so many moving parts. But I think I mean, I got an understanding. I don't know if it's because I already kind of had an understanding of that.
Sure. Yeah.
But I definitely got one.
Third engagement. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't, and the trick of the demo is I don't know how damage actually works, because we kind of were like, yeah, you damaged the boss, whatever. But like,
yeah, neither do I.
Yeah. But I do like that it probably has something to do with those pre-rolled dice at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that is, that's very good. So let me start the timer for 10 minutes again. Jeez. It's not going to let me interact. There we go. Okay. Pause. Reset to 10 minutes. I'm going to start the timer. We can chat about the bell hack, and then we'll get right into a quick demo. So, the bell hack is an upcoming fantasy adventure tabletop RPG by yours truly. The tagline currently is your new favorite fantasy adventure RPG by Adam Bell. And that's because that will technically be true, because this will be the only fantasy adventure RPG I have out. So, yeah. That's how I can get away with that. But yeah, the idea is that I'm kind of trying to synthesize everything that I think is fun. It's in the same way that Jeremy is trying to synthesize everything that he thinks is fun about like skirmish games and making the right skirmish game. I'm trying to do that for like fantasy adventure story game. So we kind of have, I guess, similar goals in these two games, but way different dimensions that we're working in, which is pretty exciting. So what we have here is a sample character sheet that has a few things on it that we'll get to in play, but I'm trying to think of what to talk about in this first 10 minutes. So I guess I should talk about like the game itself and where I'm heading with it and where I'm thinking about it and what it's going to be. So it started very early on. It was just, I'm going to do a basic like adventure game. We're going to have like the 4 classes, warrior, rogue, cleric, and the other prick, wizard. I think.
Your favorite finger fell?
But like, I can't do that. I can't do it. It's just not who I am. I can't just do like a simple RPG, even though I like them and I would like to be able to do that. As soon as I start thinking about things, they get weird and funny and have goofy opinions about things. So we're kind of heading down a road where this is a game interested in a few things. One, it's interested in ways that people can organize themselves. So there's going to be a lot of kind of moving around. You know, it's an adventure game, so you're going to different places, you're visiting different towns, blah, blah, blah. But the game is going to expect you as players, and especially like as the GM, to think about the ways that like different towns and different areas of whatever fantasy world you're playing in, like what are you doing?
I'm helping. I might need these.
Just see all these dots popping up. Shit. Different ways. Yeah, fill out a name and stuff for you. I didn't want to assume.
Go ahead. Don't
so
look
like
at me.
there are towns that, you know, like, oh, maybe this town they don't have a fucking mayor. Maybe this town they do have one. Maybe this town doesn't use any form of money. Maybe this town does use money, but like not to purchase goods, only to like give as a gift. Maybe this town. I want people to do a lot of thinking about, like, we don't just need to assume that every place in every fucking world and every phase of the world, even in our fantasies, is dominated by a centralized market economy where we all have to work every second of every day, blah, blah, blah. You get it. So that's one thing it's interested in. The second thing it's interested in is I kind of want to think about like how items work in a world like that, in a world where you can't necessarily just go buy something because there aren't just markets everywhere. Like there are going to be some towns and cities that like a market economy has sprung up and you can buy things, but like a lot of the times there will just be like people making stuff, usually just making what they need and what the people around them need. And how do you as an adventurer like get a big sword in a world like that? Like, what did you do to get that sword? And so we've kind of got a loadout situation working where on one hand it looks just like a Forge in the Dark game where there's a list of items that you can assume to be holding at any given time. But on the other hand, you have to tell me where the hell you got that thing. Yeah, what else is it interested in?
So, yeah, I think that I would love to see like a take on fantasy that is not colonial or capitalistically dominated in its like setting DNA, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really hard thing to do, right? Especially as a white guy from the Imperial Corps.
Yeah.
It's really like I don't think I will be saying that this game does that. I want to try for that, and I want to hopefully, if this game like picks up enough steam, but like design steam in my head, maybe hire people from outside the Imperial Corps to like help with that stuff. I don't know what any of that looks like hiring wise, and I don't want to just like hire somebody that isn't from America to like slap their name on my game and say it's not colonialist, because like there's a version of that is just me being fucking colonialist and using somebody's name to make my game look better. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff, but I do want to think about like the colonialism that is inherent in fantasy games and try to learn from it and try to, I don't know. It's so hard to avoid that kind of stuff because it's such there are so many different contradictions with the world in general and how we explore like the natural human like desire to be kind of an explorer doesn't exactly work in a world where like people already live places and like where you explore, you didn't discover a thing, that was there. And so like just trying to juggle all that is an interesting thing. And I think that there's a lot of ways to do it, but I don't think that there is necessarily a way, at least for me, again, as a white designer in America, to completely avoid it. No Stone Unturned, my first like released game, is also dealing with this kind of stuff. But the way that I dealt with it there is like kind of bullying the player with all of the mechanics to think about everything they're doing and all of the effects that they're having. So I've done that side of it. That's like one way to approach it, is like just have the design shout, hello, adventuring isn't like this big noble thing. It's actually really messy and complicated. So with the bell hack, I would like to find another angle, I guess, on that same stuff. I don't know.
Are there any inspirations mechanically for this game?
Yeah. So it's definitely, you can look over here and see that there's definitely some Forged in the Dark. I don't know, what are all these dots? Whoa. There's definitely some Forged in the Dark to it. There's definitely, with the way these moves are written, some Powered by the Apocalypse to it. There's some inspiration from my own game, Uneasy Lies the Head. There's inspiration from Venditti Valeria's Bloodbeam Badlands. Let me lock this character sheet so we don't...
I did it.
You did it, great. So yeah, the Bloodbeam Badlands kind of taught me or used kind of stats versus stats or stats versus resources as the checks. So we'll see that in 1 minute here. And it also used stats as resources that deplete. So yeah, that's kind of, I got inspired there and started immediately writing this, I think. Even though I think I definitely am doing it in a different way. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm ready.
Okay.
You're playing Jeremy Gage as Jeremy Gage.
Yeah.
Motto Jeremy Gage.
That's correct. Wait, actually. Need for skirmish. Cool.
I don't even know what it means.
It's from a previous playtest we had.
Yeah. So let me reset this timer because our 10 minutes is nearly up.
Is that a bell?
Yeah, you didn't hear it earlier?
No, I didn't hear it the first time.
That's so funny. I rang it whenever your time was up.
Didn't hear it, which is why I didn't stop. Because I was not looking at the stream.
So yeah, we're gonna start the actual demo. I'm gonna hit go. I'm gonna hit start. The 15 seconds is gonna count down. Are you ready, Jeremy? I'm loose. I'm good to go.
Do I need dice?
Yes. Do you have D6 at hand?
Yep.
You'll need a small pile of those. All right, and we're in. So, Jeremy, you are playing Jeremy Gage. Jeremy Gage is a diplomat. This is the diplomat playbook that apparently exists because I sat down last night to say, I need something of a playbook to do this demo, and diplomat is the one that came out. So let me walk you through what's on this sheet. So right under where it says the diplomat in your name, these are your stats. There are 4 different categories of stats, and within those are 3 stats each, and the 4 categories each act as a difficulty. So the difficulty, so basically, anytime you roll dice in this game, what you're going to do is you and I are going to choose a stat and a difficulty, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Next thing you have is in the middle is your abilities. So you have 3 abilities. One is call a meeting, which is any location you enter where you haven't disgraced yourself. You can arrange a meeting with somebody who's in charge. That wording needs a little bit of massaging, but whatever. There's fib sense, which you always know when someone's lying to you, and you can roll dice to figure out why. And then you've got a story from this place, which is that you're well read in the customs of the regions where you travel, and when you enter a place for the first time, you can recall some basic facts about its customs and culture, and roll dice for a little bit more. And then finally, on the left, you've got item lists and loadout. So the item lists, these are items that you have access to at any given time. You'll just have to tell me where you got them if you get one. And then you've got your loadout. And so your loadout are the things that you currently have. One, those are any dot that is filled in is a dot, or is an item that you currently have. A dot that is filled in but crossed out is an item that you used to have but lost for some reason. And then an empty dot but outlined dot is an item slot that you have open. And then you'll also notice that on this dotted line below the first empty slot are the words "disgraced from Schwadonia." So you, Jeremy Gage, diplomat, used to you can kind of get a piece of the story that led us to where we are now, which is you used to have in your possession a Ringwald Schwadonia peace proposal and a chicken. At some point, you'd lost those, and whenever you lost those, 2 item slots opened because you have 5 item slots, and when you lose an item, a new one opens. So the dotted circle became a filled-in circle, and you wrote down that you were disgraced from Schwadonia to mark when in time those 2 slots opened up. So anytime you want to get a new item, basically you will fill in whatever item slot you're filling in. You'll look up to see the most recent like line like that, like disgraced from Schwadonia, and the item that you're getting you got at some point in time since that line. So right now you have access to 1 item slot that is from character creation, so you could have got it any time in your life, but everything from there is something you got after you were disgraced from Schwadonia.
Okay.
So I think that's where we move in here. We have you entering a new town. Do you have a name for a town? I don't have a name for a town.
Glargadil.
You've just arrived, or you're arriving in Glargadil after your horrible disgrace from Schwadonia. What do you do?
What can I do? So I've arrived in Glargadil, and I'm okay. I am here to meet with this town's mayor.
Okay.
About the potential of forming an alliance against a imperial movement far to the west.
Okay. So you want to meet with the mayor, perhaps? Would you like to call a meeting?
Sure, I'll call a meeting.
Great. So yeah, you arrive in town and you're immediately like, we got to get to work. So the call a meeting move reads, in any location you enter within which you haven't disgraced yourself, which I assume you have never disgraced yourself in Glargadil.
I've been here several times and I'm nothing but polite.
You can arrange a meeting with whoever is in charge, the mayor. When you do so, you're going to roll Conjure versus Social. For each level of success, you'll choose one of these. So we will turn over to your stats here. In your Conjure stat, you currently have 3 dice in. In your Social difficulty, you have 2. So baseline, you're going to be rolling 3 dice, and you're trying to get 2 distinct die faces in there. If you wanted to add dice, you can say whatever. You could say some items that are helping you with this, if you have any. So would you like to?
Does that have to? So the item list is like a general list, and then the loadout are like specific items I could call on. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So you could pull something from the item list and put it in your loadout to use.
Oh, okay.
But then you have to tell me where you got it, depending on which slot.
I'm going to get a small knife that I have always carried with me.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you want to write that in there and then grab one of your funny little circles. Here, I got it.
See, the circles helped.
Cool. Why would this small knife help you conjure the mayor in a social meeting?
uh, so I think there's a little bit of a funny joke with me and the mayor, and so I go to like just go in the street and I start like wielding the small knife like a crazy person.
And that helps.
Yeah. The mayor will be summoned immediately because no one else wants to deal with it. The mayor's a very hands-on kind of gal.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, go ahead and roll that. So you have four. It's a demo, so I'm just gonna pretend that this does help. I think this would be a discussion of like, does this help? But we have 3 minutes left, so yeah, roll us 4 dice and tell us the numbers you get.
4, 4, 4, 2.
Is that wait really?
Yeah.
Yikes. So your difficulty social was 2, based on the 2 filled in dots. You got a 2, and so that means basically whenever you meet the difficulty, that is kind of a mixed success. So you've achieved 1 level of success, but I can add a consequence.
So I have to hit a 2.
So you got you got 2 distinct faces on the dice. You've got a 4 and a 2.
Heard.
So that's 2 total. You have gotten 2 total, and that means you get the mixed success because you were hoping to get more than 2, but unfortunately you rolled 3 fours.
Great.
So yeah, for each level of success on call a meeting, which you have 1 level of success from the mixed success. If you had 3 or 4, then you would have 3 or 4 distinct faces. You would have more levels. 1, the person you're meeting has been expecting you. 2, the meeting area is safe. 3, the person you're meeting with starts the conversation amenable to your desires. Or the person you're meeting with doesn't expect anything from you before starting the conversation. So you can pick one of those.
The third one, Adam Bell's over it, so I can't read it.
Oh, sorry. The person
you're meeting starts the conversation amenable to your desires.
Okay. Yeah, so the mayor rolls in like immediately. Like you said, she's a very hands-on gal. And I think one of a person in town like has been trying to be like, hey, what are you doing? And is kind of getting the sense that this isn't a real threat. You're just trying to set up a fucking meeting. I think that the consequence, or so she is interested to hear what you have to say, for sure. But she asks if you've brought anything for her to like. Or I guess no. Here's what she's amenable to your desires, but she's disappointed that you didn't bring like some sort of gift or offering to the town to show that you are ready.
But I did.
To initiate.
I foresaw this.
Yeah.
The small knife is from a foreign land, and it's actually made of an exquisite bone.
Okay. So that's interesting because I don't know if you remember that this is a mechanic, but
yeah.
You can resist a consequence at any point, either by marking off a plot armor, making your stats worse, making your stats worse, making your difficulty higher, or destroying an item. Or like
so you're saying these little black dots are helping.
Losing an item, I mean. So you can either mark this plot armor, or what it sounds like is you're giving this knife over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, like so destroying it? Cool. Yeah.
Destroying from your possession. So you'll just put an X over that, and then you would open up this new item slot, put the words... 10 minutes is up. You would put, like, above it, entered Glargle, whatever the name of this town is.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that's actually 1 below where you put it. because you already had. Yeah, that's here. Because you had these 2 item slots upon entering, and this
I
final
see.
one is the new one that you've gained. And yeah,
Heard.
that's kind of a little snippet of the bell hack
Yeah.
and how it'll work.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts?
Yeah. So definitely great emergent storytelling energy here. Love a game like that. I like all the manipulations for resource. Tons of resources here, essentially. Like you could go for days. I'd be interested in like the sort of like danger or pacing, if any, like on a consequential level of like how quickly can I heal, quote unquote, any of these things if that's even possible. If it's not possible, great. That I can see like my time limit on my character sheet, but how many times can I like sacrifice stuff to get past a situation for in my favor? I think would be
Yeah, that's
what
something that
like is
I'm.
that a thing is in there?
It's something I'm definitely thinking about. I know originally this system was something I was noodling on for a sci-fi game that has been momentarily tabled in favor of this because I can't just work on the one thing, can I? That poor game
Mm-hmm.
will never get made. But like the thing I was thinking there was in order to like heal your physical stats, you would have to go do some sort of physical rest
Okay, I see.
in order to
Attend
heal your
gala for the
social.
social stuff,
Right,
meditate for
yeah.
internal. Yeah. Absorb a crystal for magic.
Exactly. Yeah. Or whatever it all means to like your character in particular.
Yeah.
To reset you back down to baseline. And then there'll also be, if your XP goes up, you can increase stats in a good way permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Get new abilities, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I forget exactly how you get XP, but.
Well, I got it.
Yeah, you got
So
4 of it?
fucking got it, dude.
But yeah,
Uh,
that's kind of like where we're
yeah.
at with this. And
Yeah.
you were going to say something?
I was just happy to play the diplomat. I think it fits my strengths. I'm sad to see skirmish go. I would love to have it under physical. But instead of hit, what is a hit, right? I'm being a goofball.
Yeah.
I had fun. I had a good time, and I think that I like this distillation of Forged in the Dark. Uh, and I love that you have access to all the abilities sort of like right away to like paint your character as well. I find that fascinating. Um,
You talking about these 3?
yeah, yeah, and I also like that. Like I wasn't forced to just do diplomat items from the item list. I would be interested to see like if each playbook had like a specific additional bonus if you used that specific item. Like if I used a diplomat's fine garb or something like that as the diplomat, I feel like it would be cool if it was more potent on me than if it like a burglar were to use diplomat items.
Right. Well, so I think the diplomat items, those 3, wouldn't be on other
Mm-hmm.
character sheets. So
Oh, heard. Cool.
the
They're
plan
also
is,
unique. Cool.
yeah, the plan is to have like all of these kind of generic items that adventurers just need access to, kind of, and then each character class, like, because remember these aren't things that are necessarily, what they're not things that you necessarily have. They're things that you have
Mm-hmm.
access to / know how to get. So like a ranger isn't going to know where to get an official edict,
Got it. Got it.
probably, unless somebody gives
Maybe.
it to them. But a diplomat, like that's kind of their whole thing is official edicts.
What is a ranger if not a diplomat for the wilds?
And that's a great question. That's a really good question.
Just change the diplomat to the ranger. Good to go.
And that has been the tabletop hot seat, or just hot seat. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know
did
what we
it.
call it. I had fun. It's weird. I think it's good
Yeah.
though. Maybe we'll bring it back.
And yeah, we also know each other.
Yeah, and know these
It'd be
games a little
interesting to
bit.
yeah, we both have had experience with these games a tiny bit. Excuse me. Yeah. Hey, chat. What did you think of the hot seat today? I'm gonna give them like 10 seconds to figure that out. Can we do a poll? Where's the poll?
You have to type /poll into the chat,
/poll.
and it should bring up
Boom.
a whole retinue.
Poll question: how was the hot seat?
We've got 2 juice nations,
Yeah.
and Tony's butt was sweating. So I think that's your answer.
Allow additional votes per juice. Start poll. 1. Cool. Great. There's a poll. Go ahead and get the poll.
I guess while that poll's happening, we will start to. How was the hot seat? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give it a yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. I will also give it a yes. Someone gave us a no. That's crazy.
The hot seat was no.
Hot seat was a no. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm into it. Yeah, it's a bonus episode. You won't see it all the time, but when it happens, you're gonna see it.
Yeah, and like maybe I will. I don't know. I wouldn't mind just doing this sometimes with random whoever's. We'll figure it out. Look out for some juicy stuff in the future. Is all I'll say.
Yeah.
We've got
specifically in 7 days.
We've got plans. Tune into the call-in show next week. We're gonna sign out here. We're kind of like, I think we're a little bit out of our minds. So I will end it by saying that, of course, I have been Adam Bell this whole time. Go back. Legend has on a Kickstarter if you haven't, or tell your friends, or put it in your favorite Discord or Facebook group if it hasn't been posted there already. I don't know. This is how I don't know how to market, and that's okay. Find me on Twitter at AdamEBell. Get my other games at AdamEBell.games, which should be a real website soon instead of just my itch page, but itch page is good too. Jeremy?
Mm-hmm. I've been Jeremy Gage. You can find me at JeremyGage5 over on Twitter. Listen to the Draw Your Dice podcast. Come join the Discord server if you want to see more Umbral Dive updates as I continue to poke away at it. And come visit your favorite Juicy Boy.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. That's it.
That's us. Let me try to...
Let me find the exit button. Get us out of here.
We're gone.